was close. I just got back from Ukraine. It was a short little trip, but there's a lot that I had to do. Before I even got to Ukraine, I started off in Poland, where I was able to go and train one of the NATO units there on FPVs and lessons learned coming from an FPV engineer. And as you guys know, a couple of operations as a Mavic pilot on the front line.
Oh man.
Something I was preparing for weeks, and it was a complete success. They were super happy to have me there. But nonetheless, this trip was only a month long. Every day had something that I was going to be doing, whether it was visiting a friend, visiting an FPV lab, doing a presentation, playing as OPFOR, which we're going to get into. As you guys know, I had about a 5-month break out of Ukraine since cutting my contract with 130th Territorial Defense. And I had 5 months of being outside of a war zone. Of course, I was keeping up with the news, keeping up with my buddies out there, but I had no idea just how much the war has changed. Not only when it comes to drones, but just in general. All right, it's too hot for this beanie. Yeah, I'm not in Ukraine anymore. Beanie was useful out there. It was super cold still. But nonetheless, got done with that training, then I headed over to the border. I crossed into Ukraine, no problem. Nope. So I got to the border, like I usually do. I've crossed in and out of Ukraine like 10 times now. I get to the border, they tell me that I had overstayed my visa for 6 months on my last trip. I had a contract with the Ukrainian military. I don't know how you can overstay a visa. Nonetheless, it was just paperwork that they didn't have in their system, and they turned me back. So I had to waste a couple more days in Poland waiting for this paperwork to get through with my fine that I had to pay online. I get it, it's not their fault. I'm glad there's security on the border, but whatever. I got into Ukraine, Alex picks me up. Good old Alex. Just like old times. Then we drove off, we hit up one of the FPV factories that he works at quite a bit, and I was able to go and meet the team there. It's not like the FPV lab that we had making this shit. It was like a legitimate lab. I think we stayed there for 30 minutes, and then we had to book it to a train to get to Kiev because we're gonna go and meet up with a couple buddies. So we got into the train, I got my controller, got liftoff. We're wasting time playing liftoff. It was very difficult on a bumpy train, but it paid off, which you guys will see very soon. And nonetheless, we got to Kiev, and Kiev was pretty dope. As soon as we woke up, we had to book it down to the 25th, all right, where the 25th operates. They're operating in Pokrovsk, so we had to go down to that direction. Eventually, we got to the 25th base. When I arrived there, I got to meet Chris from Of Blood and Steel, or Project Leaflet, as well as Nick Laidlaw, from Battles and Beers. I'm big fans of both of them, so it was really cool to go and see them. And we all went over to the training base. When we got to the training base, we meet the instructors. These are instructors that are combat hardened. These guys have been through hell, all right? A lot of these guys were in Chosen before, and they are the instructors for the new recruits coming into the 25th Airborne. Now this group, 25th Airborne, again, they helped us a ton when it came to FPVs. They were the ones who taught us how to fly. They were the ones who funded a lot of the stuff that we had. And on a couple occasions, even went to the front line with us in order to test out our drones and to make sure that there's no confusion on why a certain system didn't work. They want to make sure, okay, this is what it is, because it's trial and error when it comes to FPVs. Nonetheless, we got there, meeting some of the new recruits, and the biggest surprise to me, which will probably surprise you guys, is not only how many recruits there are, we're talking like 50 awaiting training or currently in boot camp, but how new they are to the war. Either they have no military experience or they're just now coming to Ukraine, which I found humbling. The fact that some of these guys are joining this late into the war when the rest of the Western world is kind of, it's, Iran. We care about Iran and we care about Israel, The fact that there's people still knowing that Ukraine is going on, they want to come and help and put their life on the line. That was admirable. And I think it was that day, I'm gonna leave the stories about the frontline stuff to Battles and Beers and Of Blood and Steel. But at that point, around that point, they went to the front line. I wasn't able to go because I don't have a press pass. I'm just a dude with a phone that records and has a YouTube channel. Regardless, we spent the night at the FPV lab that they have. So that was cool. I got to meet the FPV guys there. Pedro, freaking so many names. You guys let us into your FPV lab. You let us sleep at your place the following day. Super hospitable, awesome people. People who've been there for a long time. Working on FPVs, doing stuff before that. Super cool to meet you guys. Some of you guys knew me, even got some patches from you. So yeah, really appreciate it. And it was about the last day that I was gonna be staying with the 25th when I joined them for the final exercise. I wanna go and see how they're doing it all, how they're training for trench combat, as well as drone awareness. And they were doing drops with Mavics, with fake grenades. They were fragging everything with these fake grenades. And it was, coming from an instructor background with TDI, it was super cool to go and see how it's developed, especially when it comes to infantry. Obviously, at the beginning of the war, TDI was super important because a lot of these soldiers had no experience, Or the guys who did have experience, they didn't have the proper experience. They wanted, you know, old Marine Corps veterans or whatever to train them. Nowadays, people are doing it from their own unit. Ukrainians know what they're doing. You know, they know what they're doing, and they're the best instructors you can have for infantry when it comes to trench combat. And as soon as they got done with the final exercise, I was flying around the FPV a little bit. I don't know how much of that footage I can share. After that, we had this Lada that we were riding around in. This Lada that we spray painted, Oleg bought, and it was it was fun. Good memories, riding around. Almost got dumped, flipped over, ended up driving over to the range. We set that thing up, and we began with the light machine guns and the AKs, just kind of spraying into it. Got to shoot Oleg's AK-12. The 2-round burst didn't work on it, but the automatic did, so all's good. And at the end of it, we finished off with RPGs. I have a lot of experience with RPGs, so Chris ended up firing the RPG. He missed because I told him to aim a little bit lower because it kind of arcs like that. I didn't gauge the distance that well. He just missed, and I was like, okay, yeah, get that second round up. We're gonna adjust higher, and you're gonna hit it. And on that second round, forgot to take out the safety cap. No problem. Thing went out. He fired it. Big ball of flame. We had gasoline in there. It was cool. After that, spent the night again at the FPV area lab, and we went off. We wanted to go and visit our team, 130th Territorial Defense. Seen Artem and Arnie and all those guys, Vitaly. We went down to the city. It was awesome. Got to see them. It's been a while, almost half a year. So Alex and I meet up with Artem. We go out to lunch. He gave me this this award that I forgot existed. I didn't forget. I was pretty excited to get it. It's nothing much. It's a little 130th tro patch, right? Little pin, okay? I was happy about it. They gave it to me for my work making the FPV program. And they are actively doing FPV operations as we speak. They've been doing it for the last year. Full-time FPV as well as Mavics. I want to talk about the FPV stuff. The world's changed. Fiber optics. You guys see it on Arnie's Instagram stories. Fiber optics are everywhere. The cables are dangled over every tree line. They cover the field. It looks like spider webs, and there's hundreds of them. It's insane. And the problem is that you can't jam them. Everybody knows about fiber optics. You can't jam them. You can have the headset on. You don't need these antennas anymore. It's connected directly to the drone, like literally through a wire. And these things span 20 kilometers, 50 kilometers. When we were riding over in the Pacross direction, we were maybe 15, 20 kilometers off the front line. We're not in the front line, we're just kind of like in the rear. The roads have this netting over it, okay? There's big trench systems. Everybody's ready for the FPVs, even 20 kilometers behind. And this goes for both sides. 6 months ago, when I was in Ukraine, fiber optics didn't exist. How was it changed the battlefield? Well, when it comes to Mavics, you guys remember from my videos, you're operating 1.5 kilometers, 2 kilometers from the zero line at certain points, 500 meters. That isn't gonna cut it anymore. We are operating 6 to 7 kilometers away from the front line now. And this goes for most Mavic teams. Not only the Ukrainians, but the Russians as well. We have fiber optics too. And the reason, as you guys know, when I was in Chasivyar, we would get bombarded all the time, but it's scary, but it's not too bad, okay? Artem, you know, hardened soldier, been in the Ukrainian military for 3.5 years now, been through everything. He doesn't even get scared from artillery and mortars anymore. It's like, it's, you know, 20 meters away, 50 meters away, it doesn't matter. That stuff is inaccurate. That's old school. What we're really scared about is FPV. Artem, a month before he got dinner, he was hit by an FPV. Luckily, he went into his side armor, shrapnel inside. There's a whole story with that. I'm gonna let him share that if he decides to one day, but that sounded like a rotation, really The thing is that the Russians and we know where all the positions are. We know where they are. They know where we are. In the past 6 months ago, we would fly an FPV, and then they know that we are flying FPV. They jam it, and then it goes down. Or sometimes we can get in there. But if you get low enough to go and hit them directly, especially in Chasivyar, where there's a lot of hills and there's a lot of trees, you're not going to be accurate. Fiber optics, no. It doesn't matter. You just fly that on fiber optic. You can go as long as that cable can let you, and you hit the target. So the front line now is about 10 kilometers of gray zone. Does that make sense? That they still occupy like certain positions. Mortar teams will still go up there, and sometimes Mavic teams, but the majority of the support systems, which are holding the Ukrainian front line together on both sides, is operating at bare minimum 5 kilometers off of the zero line. So it's 10 kilometer separation. It's insane. It's insane. This happened all within 6 months. The 6 months I was gone. Would not have expected that. Now that brings the question 6 months from now, how is it gonna be? We got AI, 100%, that's what it's gonna be. That's gonna be inertial navigation, get it through the jamming. So how did the fiber optics work? I was not able to go and see anybody construct them. I was able to go and see the spindle. I talked to a couple people working on them. It's pretty simple. You put the fiber optic on the bottom of the drone. On your FPV, you have 2 plates, all right? You have the ESC, which regulates the motor direction and the the voltage for it, as well as the FC, the flight controller, which is the brains of it. It translates the feed from the camera into the video transmitter, emitting a signal. It takes the receiver, all that stuff. As far as I know, when it comes to fiber optics, you just get that spindle on the bottom, and you put another plate on top of the FC, and you kind of wire it together. It's pretty simple. It's inexpensive, under $1,000 possibly, probably $1,500 because the spindle, you know, it's not like mass produced right now. They're still getting into it. It's not a $20,000 tow missile. This is a $1,500 drone that can go 20 kilometers and directly hit people because you are watching from the feed of the missile you're driving. It is insane. They also have to fly it differently, okay? So the big problem with the fiber optics that I learned was that you can't fly in acro mode where you do flips, you know, like you're flipping the drone around, it's going upside down, whoa, yeah, whoa. No, you have to fly in angle mode, which means that it's gonna be stable like this. If this wire is not taut, if it gets a kink, you lose feed and it crashes. So you have to drive it very, very steady, straight. You can't be doing like crazy maneuvers with it. They will plant themselves on top of a rooftop, on top of an apartment rooftop, on top of whatever. And they wait. They turn off the drone. They have feed still because they have the wire connected to it. They just wait, and then they see headlights approaching because they're right next to a road. Oh, cool. Pick up the controller, shoom, shoom, and they hit the target. That's how they're doing it right now. They'll park on the road. They'll park on rooftops, which is very common. Logistics are getting hit every single day. Our driver, the driver that you guys admire so much as I do, he was hit. He's okay, thank God, but like he was hit. You know, these fiber optic drones are everywhere. It's not all fiber optic. Like we're still running radio frequency drones, still very effective because the cat's out of the bag. You can't not have jammers just because fiber optics exist now. You will always have to have a way to defeat radio controlled drones, despite fiber optics being such a big threat now. So logistics are the big thing, getting to the front line and back. That's what the fiber optics are able to target. And you know, even if you hit one vehicle a day, that's 7 vehicles a week. And that goes for both sides. Talking to Artem, talking to Arnie and Vitaly, talking to the other dudes that joined recently, the Ukrainians. The Russians will get maybe 4 kilometers away, but after that, doesn't matter what vehicle they're in, it's kaput. No unit is able to get to the zero line without casualties. It's like bad. Just want to mention that. And this also makes it so that people are locked on position for 15 days. You know, this happens to our team quite a bit. Happened to us, you know, a little bit. 2 out of the 3 operations I did as a Mavic pilot with 130 Tro in chassis guard a year ago were extended. This is pretty normal, but it's just getting even more. I've heard of Artem being on position for a month straight. Same with Vitaly. That is what it is. And luckily there are bomber drones that people make that are able to deliver supplies. That's a big thing. Resupply and everything with drones until you're finally able to get a vehicle that can bring you out, or you have to go by foot. Now, speaking of which, 3.5 years in, war's changing constantly. Got a lot of stuff happening. People are getting tired. You know, morale is still there, and it's not a tired like I got tired. You know, like after going to the front line a couple times, I'm winded. Not winded physically, but also emotionally and psychologically. I'm just like, whew, I like to work on FPVs right now. I need a little bit of a break. But these guys are winded, but they are made of something different. I think it's very obvious when you see Arnie. When you guys see his footage on my channel, you guys see what he's posting on Instagram. He's got that dog in him.
I love this.
Okay, that's all I can say. And same with a lot of the other people. Jay, here's a video of him dodging Shaheeds just a month or 2 ago. Crazy stuff is happening, and these guys just don't get winded, and I don't get it. I think what it is the classic saying of, okay, out of 100 people of a unit, 90 shouldn't even be there. 9 are soldiers, and only 1 of them is a warrior. And I think what we're seeing this late in the war, especially with people going in and out of the front line over and over and over, is you're seeing the warriors come out, all right? You're seeing the warriors stay. You're seeing the soldiers stay. I think a lot of it is just necessity. You're under contract. If you're Ukrainian, you're under contract. You have to do this, and you dig deep, and you do your job. You go in, you get out. You go in, you get out. And you do your best to survive, and you do your best to keep your countrymen safe. And that's what it is. So I really look up to them. And again, like this trip was, like there's no other word other than humbling. 5 months I've been out of the game, just kind of chilling. You know, it's a good reminder of like what people continue to do, no matter if I'm there or not. So when it comes to my buddies that I'm speaking about, the guys who are still there, they've been there since the start, is that it takes an impeccable amount of adaptability. I can't stress that enough to be a warrior like that. The exhaustion is replaced with this mentality that only combat vets that break through the rigors of learning what artillery sounds like and learning what it feels like to be in a combat setting. When they break through that, it's a breakthrough, a mental breakthrough. It's very strange, and I've never been there before. I've been there in like a Iraq scenario, but that's a little bit different than Ukraine. When you break through that, you're able to become this combat veteran. I don't know exactly what that is, but it's humbling. So yeah, that's the big things that changed in the war. Continuing on, I was able to go and meet up with a mortar team that were fans of mine that were in 130 Tro. I had no idea that there was a mortar team that knew me there, but they did. We had some stories that we traded. We were kind of remembering old memories that we were both connected to. Me watching his Mavic, them targeting. They are super cool. Got their patch. Oh, right there. And in the evening later that day, there was a barbecue we were gonna have with the whole team. They were reunited, and I ended up inviting Doves of Freedom, had a barbecue with us. I was able to interview him. I might post that on my channel here soon. We'll see. It's in the unit again. Humbling dude, okay? He's been hit during the entire time he's in the hospital for a year. He's building FPVs and giving us FPVs that we can use in the front line. And as soon as he gets out of the hospital, he's in the unit again. It's like, what can I say? It was during that talk, actually, with Doves of Freedom, as well as Arnie and all them, because they're still doing Mavic operations, that I was able to learn another way that Mavic operations have changed. 6 months ago, it was completely different. Nowadays, because they're operating so far away, they have to have an additional battery attached to the Mavic battery. All right, so now the Mavics, which were reconnaissance drones, just straight out of the box, you fly it, boom. They're now kind of FPVs, because you're operating 6-7 kilometers away. Everything's changed. I don't know what to say. It all surprised me. Like, everything's changed. That's what you gotta do. You gotta keep up with the times, and you can't get stuck in one way. You can't get stuck with, oh, I did this and this. When it comes to modern warfare, as we know it, you have to be on top of the game. If you slip up for 1 month, 2 months, you're behind the game. Russians were the first ones to use fiber optics. They were using them in Kursk. Ukraine was the first ones to use FPVs, as far as I know, and Mavics, substantially. So they were the first ones on that ball. But Ukraine is doing the right thing. They see the potential. They see how it's changed the battlefield, and they jumped on it. So they're doing fiber optics as well, and batteries on Mavics. So I spent a day with them. That was super dope. And then Alex and I had to split ways. It took a little bit longer than expected, especially with the Poland stuff. I want to say hi to TDI, where I got this flag. Thank you, Rugi. Appreciate it, brother. And I got to see what they're doing. They're still training people day in, day out, especially medical training. That's the big thing right now. And everybody needs medical training, and not many people are combat medics, but they're training. Super cool. I get over to have some dinner with people that are doing FPVs right now, including them. Fan of their YouTube page as well as their Twitch. They've been doing a lot of stuff, donating a ton. Like, literally, they don't even keep anything for themselves. They just donate everything to their unit, having a big impact. And I was able to meet some of the guys from that team there. For team leader, yeah, if you're watching this, dude, like, your story's insane, dude. Like, again, with the humbling people. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that have done a lot that you wouldn't hear about. I've got a YouTube page. I'm able to talk about my experiences, cool. But there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot that have done a lot. So we ended up getting dinner, and lo and behold, the instructors we were just seeing down at the 25th, they were up there to go and have a drink with us, and then I had to book it up to Kiev. So I got to Kiev, spent a couple days, no, I think a day there. It was like a half day. Most of it was at the train station. A lot of missiles coming in, so they had to close out the train station, constantly have to go in, go out, go in, go out, which is annoying. And I ended up finally getting on the train, went down to Odessa. So I get to Odessa, and I'm there to go and get my tattoo finished up, all right? Can't really see it with this, but you'll see it soon if I wear a tank top. And I'm waiting there for a couple days. I'd say hi to a couple other friends there. I got my tattoo. It's like late May now, and I had to get over to Poland again to do OPFOR for this NATO unit. Oh, very good experience. I spent a couple days there on base, and I was able to go and give them the FPV. Artem let me go and take one of the FPVs that I had made, you guys funded, and bring it over to the NATO guys. So if anybody's wondering, is NATO looking at the Ukrainian war? Are they taking it seriously? Are they training hard every single day, thinking with their minds and adapting to the realities of modern combat, even as it evolves month by month? Yes. Yes. And they were eager for this training, even just me. I was there in the field with them, insanely knowledgeable, insanely curious about what these drones are. And again, they asked me to come back. It was awesome to take part in a little bit of the training. Really appreciated it. And I appreciated them having me, because I care about NATO. I really, really care about how NATO is gonna respond to a future Russian incursion into whatever country. So I really look up to them, and they took the training very seriously. Got to fly around the FPV, bomb them a little bit, and they dealt with it really, really well. And again, they're changing some of their SOPs regarding some of the stuff they learned about FPV. So they're all about it. Super happy. So that's that's pretty much it. I mean, after that, flew back to here and I made a studio and still waiting on some more patches to come home. And I'll get this whole thing filled up and feel like an actual YouTuber. That'll be cool. It's kind of all I wanted to say. There's a lot of footage I wish I could have showed you guys, but this is fresh stuff. And it's definitely not the right time to go and share it, but eventually. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. I know I learned a lot. And really take this stuff to heart. The world's changing drastically. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks again for all the support. This is why I've been gone for 2 months. And talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.
Yeah. Why you holding? Because it's might fall apart. If it's feel resistance, let me know.
Yep, will do. A little bit of resistance.
Okay.
This is not target. After recording, finally. Oh, you was very close. Very close.